Hello and welcome to this Anderson Township Development and Planning Update for January 2022. My name is Steve Sievers. I'm going to walk you through what's new here in the township as we turn the calendar. It's an overview of the various items we'll touch upon today, including township planning development updates, private development activity, capital improvements, and also township properties. Start off with some of those recent current township planning efforts. It's been a very busy year for our planning and zoning department, several years for that matter, and this will touch upon a number of the projects they have in the works. First off is the Anderson Center Station redevelopment. This is a project that dates back a number of years. It's actually led to the physical work out on the site here in late 2021 with the demolition of the Anderson Center Station park and ride, closure of that facility and relocation temporarily for a couple of years while Hills Communities builds the new Vantage at Anderson Town Center development that will be on that site, which will be a 4.5-story apartment community with 224 units, as well as the 2.5-story parking garage underneath. The lowest level of that garage will serve as the new park and ride for metro use, as well as overflow for Anderson Center events at a site that's actually much more accessible to the building than the prior location. This is a project that will take several years to unfold, as you can imagine, with the complexities involved, but we're hopeful that by late 2023, the park and ride is operational and the development will follow suit here by early 2025. Second project will be the Clough corridor study. This began in early 2020. It's an outgrowth from extensive public input and feedback about the future of Clough Pike. With that, the township issued a survey. We had over 800 participants in that and a whole range of ideas, concerns, options, things to consider. And we ultimately hired the firm of Stantec that developed the study in conjunction with the County Engineer's Office in Anderson Township and looked at a variety of recommendations across the corridor. Some of those actually are already being implemented. The study was adopted by the board January of 2021, but a signal timing project was completed in the fall of last year from 5 mile to 8 mile to help coordinate those signals. There will be a striping project that will take shape here later this spring once the weather breaks. The township applied for and received grant for a sidewalk on the north side of Clough between the YMCA through the Endo Valley and Jules Park area over to 8 Mile. We've also submitted grant applications for some projects in some other areas, including down by Newtown Road near the New Harmony development, and also at 8 Mile, additional turn lanes off of 8 Mile onto Clough to help provide more green time to Clough Pike. So, a variety of projects that will come from this study in the near, mid, and long term. And check that out on our website for more information. Second area we've been focused on is in stormwater management, and this dates back to our work back in 2019 to identify and assess the health of various stormwater detention basins and work to resolve those. We continue that effort. In 2021, we were involved with the dredging of Anderson Lake, a project that unfolded here in the summer of 2021, allowed us to basically restore the capacity of that regional stormwater basin. And then, speaking of regional stormwater basins, the completion of the overflow basin down by the Harmony development that will divert water from Clough Creek into an area where it will be managed and then slowly discharged back in the creek to help reduce downstream flooding and erosion in the future. We were fortunate last year to not see that applied or utilized too much. So that's a good sign, but with storm events occurring throughout our community, sometimes more frequently than we'd like, we'll unfortunately probably have to see this take shape here and put to work in the next couple of years. The township was extensively involved back in the fall of 2021 with Homorama. It was the first time it was here in over 40 years in the Parkside Estate Subdivision. We were involved with Experience the Drive, which is the experience of folks coming and going to the show, the event itself with various activities up on site, and then also helping to basically promote Anderson there at the show and help promote our business and other organizations here, our businesses and other organizations in the township. Nearly 18,000 folks attended, which is remarkable given the constraints and issues associated with COVID that were with us last fall. And we certainly set the bar for other communities to follow when they host this event in the future. Shifting back to planning updates, one of the projects that came out of our work back in '99 was the Kellogg Gateway area and the opportunities that presented for the township. We hired MSP Design. Work began in early 2020 on this, and again, extensive public input through the pandemic, virtual input that was received and has led to the development of this plan that was adopted in late 2021 And actually, we're now in the process of shifting immediately to implementation. We've hired Kleinders and Associates to look at some gateway areas, to look at the interstate interchanges there, to look at some streetscape work along Kellogg, and also to look at things that we can do both for traffic and for flooding in that area. This work will be at the forefront of our efforts here in 2022, and our hope is that we look to next year, we'll be able to begin implementation of some of these recommendations. Another work project that began in late 2020 and early 2021 was the Public Art Master Plan. And this was adopted late last year as well. Anderson Township is one of the few communities in Ohio to now have such a document, probably virtually none of the townships in Ohio. And not just have a document, but this is a very robust set of recommendations and guide for the future of public art here in Anderson, and how that would work into our various areas. It's being incorporated right now into some projects, including the work on Kellogg and along our trails network, and we're very excited at what the future holds in this area, working in conjunction with our ReThrive committee. Then the granddaddy of them all, which is our comprehensive plan. This is a document that was first prepared back in 2005. Anderson was one of the first townships in the state to develop such a truly comprehensive approach, not looking at just land use and development, but all aspects: transportation, mobility, quality of life, economic health. Really pulled all that together. That document's been updated twice, and this was the third update to that. The draft is now available for review on our website. There's extensive public input into this process as well, both virtually and in person throughout the last year, and we're thrilled at what this plan will do for the community and the guide that it helps to set for our policy making moving forward. You can check that out. Please consider being involved in the review and the adoption process as this continues for the next couple months. Let's shift now to private development activity, and we'll start with some completed or newly completed renovations and construction. The list you have before you highlights those. There have been numerous opportunities and entries into our business community in the last year. You'll see some of those listed here, some expansions as well, and we're very thrilled at how this pace has continued over the last 6 to 9 months. When we look at new building tenants and expansions, again, these are highlighted by some large-scale developments, such as what was talked about earlier with regards to the Vantage Anderson Town Center, the Harmony development, certainly Skytop demolition and the redevelopment that's happening on that site, and then as well as other work on Beachmont, including redevelopment of properties such as the Condado Taco at King Louie and Beachmont intersection, and then the Buskin redevelopment into the new Bigby Coffee there next to La Rosa's. As far as subdivision construction, these are 4 communities that have been under construction for a while, and there still remain opportunities for new housing construction. Other subdivisions that were approved within the last year or year and a half, and those are noted here. And again, when you add these up, you begin to think about the number of units. These are spread over a number of years. So what we see listed here are subdivisions from the northeast part of the township to the southwest that will be coming online as we get into late 22 and early 23, and will be opportunities for new home construction for a number of years to come, providing opportunities at various price points, various locales, and various styles throughout Anderson. When we look at these, we often think about new home construction and the impact on services, and just kind of putting this all into scale and perspective. What you see before you, the orange line, is new housing units over the last 50 years. In the past, back in the 70s, 80s, even the early 90s, we were seeing between 200, 300, and up to 600, 700 units a year being built here in Anderson. Those numbers have considerably dropped off in recent years. In fact, for the last 15 or so years, we've been around 30 to 40 units. So we've been able to manage that growth fairly well. And you see the blue line on here, that's actually public school enrollment. One of the questions we get oftentimes with home construction is the impact on services, namely schools. And you can see that those huge spikes that we had back in the 70s and 80s did have some ripple effects on that. But what we've seen in the last 20 to 30 years has not been that. In fact, enrollment has been steady, if not slowly dropping off a little bit, as well as the housing construction has steadied as well. We will continue to monitor this, especially with some introduction of some new units, particularly multifamily and senior living, to see what ripple effect that has. But as our comprehensive plan has indicated and past plans have indicated, we're projecting a fairly steady or modest population growth, but nothing that would have significant impacts. And certainly if that changes, those planning efforts allow us to really shift and make new decisions as far as what the future may hold but we'll continue to keep that in our thoughts as we move forward. Let's shift into capital improvement projects. We'll start with Anderson Trails. It's been a very busy planning year for us for the last couple of years, but we're looking forward to moving a number of these into construction here in 2022, including work on Pattison Road from Beechmont to Woodridge, on Lawyer and Little Dry Run Road up near the Wilson Elementary area. Those are highlighting some of our construction projects. We're also doing some work on some alternate projects where we were able to build walks on county roadways. So we're looking at Rambling Hills, Holiday Hills, and Bartles Road as options as well. And some of those may even move forward into construction later this year. As far as regional trails, the first and third bullet, the big one being the Little Miami Trail completion. There, linking Anderson to the rest of the 80-mile network heading north and the 5 to 8 miles heading west, and then the Otto Arm Leader and Lumpkin paths as well. We will be right in the midst when that opens up here late summer, early fall with the bridge over the Little Miami River connecting all those amenities. Speaking of connecting, the top photo and the work that was done for several years, the township was involved in helping to continue a project in the city of Cincinnati between Salem and Sutton Roads, but the completion of that segment of the Ohio River Trail actually links our network down along Kellogg Road in the entertainment area to the rest of the network heading north and west from there. So we're now fully linked from that area all the way towards downtown, all the way up towards the future connection across the river as well. So again, while it was a project in the city, it was one that we provide funding and assistance towards because of the regional impact and how that affected our community in the future. As far as curb and sidewalk repairs, we completed a biannual cycle. We do a 2-year project basically, which entails curb and sidewalk repair on streets 1 year and paving the following year. That was wrapped up in 2021. So we'll be starting a new 2-year cycle here in 2022 into 23 that will be even more robust than the cycle that we just finished on. We typically spend about $1.5 million or so on those projects each year. We'll be spending well over $2.5 million and allocating probably upwards of at least another $1 million perhaps to roadway maintenance. That would be pavement preservation efforts and those types of things as well. So we're looking at over $3 million all told in the next biannual cycle. That list will be available later this spring. We'll be looking at our road inventory basically that helps to drive the preparation of those pressing needs. With each of these projects, we also offer street trees. As far as that street renovation project, and this winter we'll be planting over 70. It's likely that by late this year and the next year we'll be well more than that with the robust program that's being planned. Again, that list will be available later this spring. As far as roadway repairs outside of the township, we have for the last 15 years maintained kind of an annual road construction inventory. You see the image from 2021 that's there, and there's a table that goes with this. We'll update this, of course, for 2022. Fortunately, most of the projects listed have been completed, but this allows us to make sure that our projects are coordinated with our neighbors, coordinated with utility work, and that we're all kind of doing our best to make sure we're not closing parallel routes, we're not causing potential traffic impacts beyond those that are normally caused by road construction. And when we look at those, some of the major projects that have been worked on the last couple of years really have entailed some resurfacing of county roadways. You see that list there, the county engineer's office from 2021. And then as we look to 2022, the work that will be done on Lawyer Road to resurface that key connection across the northern part of our community. Another project that we've been involved with on the capital side is the Anderson Parks Recplex. The township actually purchased this building back in 2019. It had been leased for several decades by the Park District from the Beach Acres Parenting Center. We purchased this with the use of our TIF funds, and we've basically undertook a renovation of that beginning in early 2020, which continued through late last year, first beginning with interior work, later finishing up with some of the parking lot work. All the while, most of this work occurred when the center was closed anyway, so it was a great coordination and the timing worked out really well there. If you've not been there, I encourage you to visit the site or to check the tour out online on our YouTube page. It's quite a dramatic transformation of the area. And again, this was all purchased and remodeled for TIF funds. Those are funds from new development, and namely in this situation, the renovations occurring from funds that will be derived or have been derived from the near-green anthology at Anderson Senior Living Community. Township property, and we'll shift into this now. Township Green Space Program is now over 30 years old. We have over nearly 70 properties with over 700 acres in the program. The tax levy for this was adopted back in 1990. It was renewed in 1995, expired in 2000. So there's not active funds going into it. However, there are some residual funds that are used for maintenance and inspections and those types of activities. We also occasionally have properties that are donated to us, and those provide a wonderful opportunity to expand and continue to grow this legacy program in Anderson. What you also see on this map are some stars. Those indicate properties that we have acquired in the last couple of years outside of the green space program. Many of these are properties that fell into disrepair, distress. Some of these are floodplain properties. Some of these we've demolished properties and put them back on the market into viable uses. And we're going to continue to look for those opportunities moving forward to maintain our community, maintain our neighborhoods, but also to basically remove blight and remove the impacts that those might create here in those neighboring areas. Again, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that you have gained a greater sense of some of the things that we're involved with, and certainly invite you to participate and ask us questions, provide input. Our lines are always open. You see our phone number listed there, my email address. If I can't answer those, I'll get those to the right individual. Our website, our address is changing here this year to that new address, so please note that as well. And then finally, if you're not following us on Facebook, we use this extensively for updates, development updates, road construction, timely information to get out to our residents as well, and appreciate those that follow us and help to get that information out as well. We found it to be a very effective tool here in the community. So again, we want to appreciate the time that you've spent with us today, and if you ever have questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you.